Hey guys, how you doing? Brad Bodnarchuk here. It has been more than a minute. I actually meant to go back and check to see when the last podcast that I posted was, and I'm gonna go out on a limb without accurately knowing and say it's been a year, maybe more, probably about that. And I am happy to be back. I don't say that with hesitation. I was just trying to find my words, but I'm really happy to be back. I'm compelled to be back. And I feel like me coming back on the mic and to the podcast is very organic. I feel like it isn't forced. And I feel like if I did come back any sooner, it would have been that way. While I've been away from the podcast, a lot has changed. Obviously, we as humans over time, we grow, things happen. As they say, life happens. And I'm happy to share that with you all over the next few podcasts that I'm set to release. But the reason I wanted to hop on today was one, give you an update and also solidify for me what it is that I'm now doing. And also in this podcast, give you what the title says. I want to give you 5 tips on how to be an impactful leader. Now, you may be asking yourself, so what are you exactly doing now, Brad? And the way I define it in a elevator pitch, if you will, is I help business leaders communicate effectively, become productivity masters, and build world-class cultures. So over the years, I've really allowed for myself to niche down and look at what it is that I can offer to the people that I work with. And that's it. Helping them communicate effectively, helping them become, super productive, and then also helping them build out world-class cultures. And as I look back at the work that I've done as a consultant and working in different businesses, that really is how I keep positioning myself, maybe unconsciously. And now I'm consciously stepping into this role and into this, I guess, like I said, defined elevator pitch is what I do. And it's about communication, it's about productivity, and it's about world-class cultures. Enough about me and what I'm doing. Let's get to why most of you, I'm assuming, are here, is to find out what are the 5 things that I can be doing to become a more impactful leader. And I want to be clear on these 5 things and actually who this is for as well. You don't have to be a leader of a massive business or a small to medium-sized business. This could be for anyone. This could be in your own family. This could be in your relationship. This could be in your friend circle. This could be in your men's group. These 5 things aren't exclusive to the business world. And actually, as I've said on this podcast before, way back when, I find as an individual, I find there are so many alignments when it comes to business philosophy in regards to what works in business and things like relationships or sports. So there's so many applications for these things, but I digress. I'll get right into it. So what is the very first thing that I recommend to my clients and also to individuals like you if you want to become a more impactful leader? Well, number 1 is define your compelling vision. A few things there that I want you to key in on. One is defining a vision. And a lot of us have that in our businesses or perhaps in our lives or in our relationships. We have a vision in regards to what we're trying to achieve. And that's great. That is step 1. But what I'm encouraging you to do is define something that's compelling. And from conversations that I've had and in situations that I've been in through work and through my business, is there is a vision, but perhaps it was set 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago or more, and perhaps it's gone a bit stale. And what I want people to do, if they want to be more impactful, is I want them to sit down and create a compelling vision. So what is the difference? The difference for me is a compelling vision calls you to action. A compelling vision evokes within you. So there's a visceral feeling or emotion within you when you see or you read this vision. So the practice that I would recommend that you would do to tick number 1 off would be sit down, find space, quiet, where you can be uninterrupted with a pen and paper, or if you prefer to do electronically, on your computer. And I want you to just start writing. And I want you to write what that original vision was for your business. And then I want you to put in words and terms to that are going to allow for it to evoke emotion within you, allow you to feel a certain way about it. And if that old vision doesn't allow for that at all, let's completely start from scratch. What do you feel called to do? And I know for myself, my compelling vision, outside of the communication, outside of the productivity, outside of the world-class cultures, I feel compelled to help others discover what is truly within them. That's it. And that's what drives me. That's what gives me the emotions, the excitement to do what I do. Is I want to be able to discover something special and powerful within other people that perhaps they don't see themselves, and then work to pull that out, leverage it, and have them leverage it as well in their life. So write a compelling vision. Use terms, words, and descriptives that are going to make you feel a certain way and feel excited about the vision that you're creating. Step 1, you must be compelled by your vision. If you are not, well, that's going to be challenging, because step 2 is share the vision. And I know myself, firsthand experience from working with small to medium-sized business owners, that, and it goes back to the first part of what it is I find myself doing now, working on the communication piece. They're challenged by the communication. And step 2 is imperative that we do just that we communicate. And if we do have a vision that isn't compelling, we're not going to be excited to share that. But once we have a compelling vision written down and established, the next step to being a really impactful leader is to go out and share it so much that people in your business can then share it either back to you, like literally repeat it to you, or start sharing it with others. How amazing would it be if your vision is so compelling that when you share it, your team is then compelled to share it with others at cocktail parties, when they go home at the end of the day, to other friends and family. Share something that is going to evoke emotion within them as well, and allow them to feel a certain way about what it is that they're doing. So step 1 is create a compelling vision. Step 2 is to communicate that vision. And I love this idea that Donald Miller from StoryBrand shares. And I can't remember if it's a story of himself or a business that he worked with, but he shares a story of a CEO essentially writing down the elevator pitch, similar to mine, of why they exist. Like, why do we exist as a business? And he wrote it down on a piece of paper and went around and was reciting it to all of the staff. And then a few weeks later, he went around with a big fat wad of $5 bills. And he would go up to an employee, go up to a team member, and he would say, why do we exist? And if they were able to recite the vision, able to recite the why, he would give them $5 right then and there. And while it may seem like a nominal amount, it is the exercise in really solidifying in people's minds, why do we exist? And if someone got it wrong, he would say to them, hey, you didn't get it this time, but I'll be coming around next week, and hopefully there's $5 with your name on it. It's fun, it's innovative, it gets people excited, and it gets people repeating the vision, the why. So make sure, 1, it's compelling, and make sure, 2, you're finding a way to communicate it ad nauseum. Do it so much that people start to get annoyed, and then maybe do it a little bit more. Number 3, in regards to becoming a more impactful leader, is you must act as a role model. And as cliche as it sounds, you need to lead by example. This one, I think, is such a storied tip, if you will, but you can't go wrong with this one. Pick up the garbage, answer the phone, do the dirty work, wash the toilets, all of the things that you know you could be doing and should be doing if you want to be a more impactful leader? Do you need to be spending your entire day taking over the role of the caretaker? Absolutely not. But I love what my dad said years ago to me, and it stuck with me since then, is if you see a problem, you own a problem. And if you're the leader of a business and you're walking around and you see something that isn't right, shame on you if you walk by it. If you want to be more impactful, you take the time to do what you need to do to get that resolved. And that will allow you to be a more impactful leader. Be a role model for your team. Show up how you want others to show up. Again, it's so cliched, but it's a cliche for a reason, because it's true and it works and it exists and it allows for you to move the needle forward. I'm reminded, I was listening to a podcast with Mark Cuban, owner of the Mavericks, and he was talking about when he first bought the Mavericks, the sales for the season tickets were essentially non-existent. And without missing a beat in a story, he just says, I asked someone to bring me a list of phone numbers. I'm guessing people that used to buy season tickets. And he got on the phone right away and started dialing. And the person interviewing him on this podcast started laughing and saying, wait a second, you got on the phone and you were making phone calls and trying to sell tickets? And Mark Cuban said, yeah, absolutely. Even though I had a sales team, shame on me if I don't do it myself. And again, that is just such a powerful position to take. It's going to allow for Mark Cuban to feel a certain way about his business, which feels like, hey, I'm in control. I'm not a victim. I'm participating in this. I'm showing my team that I can do it and I will do it and I'm willing to do it. And I think that is something that is lost on us today, is we can, in business, we can find these silos that just kind of organically happen in our business, and they're not a healthy thing. And unfortunately, some of the business owners that I've come across can do that to themselves as well. And it's not that they won't pick up the garbage. It's not that they won't make sales phone calls. It's that they don't. There's a difference. And I encourage you, if you're a leader of any group today, take number 3 to heart. Act as a role model. Actually, change the wording of that. Be a role model and lead by example. Number 4 is recognize and acknowledge achievements. This one, in today's climate in 2022, going into 2023, cannot be practiced enough. I was lucky enough to be having a conversation the other day with someone in the gym who I had no idea over the past few months of interacting with this person that they just retired and they were a very successful CEO of a tech company who sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. And I asked him, once I found this out, I said, what is the one thing that you would say to a CEO today that they need to focus on to ensure success? And he said, culture. And while innately I wanted to say, I knew you were going to say that, but I was happy to hear that, because that's such a big piece for me as well. People, culture, it's just, if you don't have that, what do you have as a business in 2022? Looking at tip number 4, which is recognizing and acknowledging achievements, that's just such a big part of culture. When someone does something that is big or small within your business, as a leader, I encourage you, find a way to celebrate that. I'm a big fan of weekly emails going out, something short and sweet, but that's acknowledging efforts and achievements by your team, calling individuals out, whether it be through that email process or through formal staff meetings or reviews, whatever it is. Find a way. Heck, I know Slack is a big thing as well, as far as a communication tool for teams. Post something on Slack, a funny meme or something that acknowledges and recognizes people's achievements. Not doing this is a massive, massive miss, and it will dramatically impact your culture. So as an impactful leader, tip number 4 is make sure you are recognizing and acknowledging achievements. And I would recommend that you do this often and you do it early. And what I mean by that is Put it in your agenda that every 3 days or every 2 weeks, you are taking time out to find something on your team that you can recognize and acknowledge. And when I say early, I mean if something happens, you don't wait to acknowledge it. So if you are the guy or the girl, the leader that wants to send out the weekly email, and it's a Tuesday, and you generally don't send your email out until Friday, but on the Tuesday, someone does something remarkable, recognize it early. Don't let time go. Make sure you are doing two things. One, you're recognizing it early, which gives you the opportunity to solidify the behavior and also allow for that person to really feel the impact of what they did has on the business. So recognize and acknowledge achievements, do it often, and do it early. The last one, number 5 on my list of 5 things you can do to become a more impactful leader is empower others to share their voice. This goes back to the culture piece as well. Whether it is in staff meetings, whether it is in formal one-on-one reviews, whether it is in your day-to-day operation of your business, I encourage you, find a way to allow everyone within your organization to have a voice and share their voice. You feel like launching it, not feel like you're launching a new marketing plan, put it out to the team. Ask a few key individuals, what are your thoughts on this? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Ask people the question as you're walking through the halls. Hey, if this was your business, what would be your top 3 priorities in the next 3 months as we close out the fiscal? When you are interacting with your team, encourage them that this is an environment, this is a culture that you want to facilitate them having a voice within the business. While ultimately, as the leader, the decision should come down to you when making decisions that are key for the business, but creating a culture and an environment where people feel like at the very least their voice will be heard, you are going to be a more impactful leader. That's it. Just do that. Ask people, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on this? Go around a table in a meeting and ask everyone for their input. And you could even say at the end of all of the sharing and say, I want to thank everyone for sharing. Ultimately, as the CEO, it is my job to decide which way we're going to go with this marketing plan, for example. So we're going to do this, but I want to thank everyone for their contribution and I want to keep this up. Acknowledge that, honor that, celebrate that, and just watch not only the impact you have as a leader, but the success that that facilitates for you from a team and also from a business standpoint. All of these 5 things are incredibly impactful and incredibly easy to integrate as far as I'm concerned. Let's review them from the top. Number 1, define a compelling vision for your business. Number 2, share that vision and share it often as you possibly can. Number 3, we're not saying act. We're saying be a role model and lead by example. Number 4 is recognize and acknowledge achievements. Remember, early and often. And the last one, number 5, is empower others to share their voice in your business. That is it from me. We did it. I say we, it's just me, but you are here for the ride. I appreciate your patience with this podcast. I'm super excited to go down this path of helping leaders become more effective communicators, become productivity masters, and create world-class cultures. And I'm also just excited about exploring this more myself, as this is something I'm extremely passionate about. I'm so excited to be back on the podcast. I'm so excited to be creating content again. And if there's anything you want to hear me speak on, I would love to hear from you. Drop me a note on Instagram or send me an email, brad@bradbodnarchuk.com, and let me know any questions you may have about leadership, communication, productivity, or culture creation. That is it. My name's Brad. You've been incredible. And it would mean the world to me if you enjoyed this podcast to share it with someone who you also think would enjoy it. Have an incredible day. Be good and do good.